All right, guys, it looks like we are live and ready to go. Just making sure that we actually are. Sweet. Morning, Leo. Morning, Zero. That's funny. Leo, Zero. Remember, guys, this is not financial advice, personalized or other. This is just entertainment and me going through our positions and different stocks. So let's go and remove this page. Ha, there we are. And guess what? We're actually in Florida. Let me put on some sunshine. Let's see, let's open this hatch a little bit. Boom! Wow, that just got a lot brighter. Ha! Yesterday's flight was pretty intense. We had our little dude making a lot of noise. We were officially that family with the screaming baby. We've been traveling a lot, and I gotta say, it's been really good. Wow, I think I'm bleeding. And it's been pretty good with Otto. Usually he's really quiet, he's really chill, but man, yesterday, I mean, he's been a bit sick, so I think that's probably what set him off. But yeah, yesterday was a big travel day in terms of stress. So let's go through the calendar. It is 9:03 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Today is the 10th, Tuesday. It feels like Monday, but it's not. It's Tuesday for me. And we have short interest release date. So always good to. I love when this updates. This updates twice a month, and you can see the short interest, and that's creates a lot of short squeeze news on days like today, because you'll see a ticker like, I don't know, classic GameStop, GME, right? And then you realize, oh my God, there's a 25% short interest, which is a massive short interest, and then it has a low float, and then all of a sudden, boom, you get a short squeeze. So these are pretty important dates. You don't want to miss it. I always like to start with a calendar view. When in doubt, zoom out, right? That's always what we do. And calendar is a great way to do that. Futures and indexes, overall pretty steady. Let's go to the 15-minute really fast. Let's refresh this page. 15-minute, yeah, a little bit of a flush pulling back. Overall, kind of healthy, stabilized after that really aggressive sell-off. Look at that bounce. Today is basically dead in terms of volatility so far. We'll skip this for now. Yesterday was ISM manufacturing, which came in above expectations, which was not a surprise, something we've been talking about. And, you know, it is America First policy right now, so a lot of manufacturing coming back to America. Nothing coming out today, so that's good in terms of volatility. Wait a second, something's not right here. Today, why doesn't it automatically go to today? Oh, retail sales coming out today. Something I don't care about too much, but we would like to see maybe a small increase there, but I wouldn't be surprised either way if nothing too drastic happened here. Okay, sorry, it did not update, so we are today. Tomorrow, non-farm payrolls come out, unemployment rate. This is going to be a really important one we'll talk about tomorrow, but let's keep going. Actually, let's really quickly look at some dividends coming out. 3% yield on American Electric Power. Look at this. Cohen Street's preferred income. It's probably some sort of REIT almost. And let's go to earnings. Wow, a lot of earnings. Yeah, it's earnings seasons. So, okay, today, sorry guys, I was wrong. 8:30 a.m. That's why we had that move. Retail sales came out. So it was basically, looks like it was flat. Came out at 8:30 a.m. Let's actually look at the SPY as well. And Dow Jones Newswire, let's see here. U.S. retail sales held steady in December. We're flat. A disappointing data point for economics who expected growth despite concerns. Yeah, so here it came out flat. And the forecast was a small increase, right? Does this one have a chart? I'm not so sure if this one has a chart. It does. It's just not very interesting. Let's close that. Sales at U.S. stores were roughly unchanged in December versus at November at 735 billion. American shoppers have powered ahead so far this decade. You got to remember, 70% of the economy is consumer is spending, right? Retail spending. So it's a very important metric. Let's keep going here. Oh, wait, was it 70 or 60 of GDP? GDP percent breakdown. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, consumer spending 68%. Okay, so I was right. 70%. Well, yeah, I was wrong. It's 68, not 70. But we had the ballpark, right? Personal consumption, super, super important. So the fact that it was flat, not so exciting. But you got to remember, forecast was 0.4%. So it's not like a huge miss or anything like that. Although right now, lately, you know, misses, or not even misses, just like any sort of bad news has been really bad news. So you do want to keep that in mind. Let's keep going here on the macro. Let's just do a little bit of research. This white line right here is, and I don't know why the RSI is so gnarly looking right now. That's a weird update. Is the S&P, and we're on the daily. U.S. jobs down. That's not great. Unemployment kind of chilling. VIX down. SPY, yeah, holding this area pretty well. Let's go to daily. Yeah, a little bit of chop there. On the 5 minutes, you can see this is when the MSI retail came out. Russell holding pretty good. Bitcoin had that strong bounce. Wait, no, that was market cap. Well, kind of shows the same thing. So very strong bounce off the lows. That was a beautiful trade last week. ARK also had a big strong bounce there. No major surprise. Let's go and check out some of the top tickers today. Close that. We have ABP. Let's quickly ABP. Let's pull this one up. And go to this screen. Let's go to a 15-minute. Pulling back to some major support. I wonder what the earnings are on this ticker, or the news. No news. I don't like top gainers with no news. Next ticker, top gainer. 2 hours ago, 16 hours ago, hires advisor to explore strategic alternatives. What kind of news is that? Sounds retarded. As a financial advisor to explore restructuring. I don't know. I don't love these catalysts. EVMN, let's check this one. Here we go. Phase 2 trial. Some of the ratios promising. If you have eczema, you should really consider stop eating carbs. I've seen a few people do that now, and it's almost fully cured it. But I don't want to, give medical advice here or anything off the cuff. But I've seen it in real life, not just YouTube videos. Let's pull that up as well on gaps, and this seems wrong. A and Y. Put that one on our gaps as well. Why is A and Y up? News. Three days ago, so nothing too new. It almost looks like a buyout split, 1 to 10 split. Yeah, okay. I don't know. None of this is really too interesting. I'm not gonna lie. I don't love the top gainers, but I have not been liking the top gainers in general. I mean, this is a pretty solid move. Don't get me wrong. 500%. I just typically don't trade top gainers once they're over $20. Just it's hard to fall in love with these tickers lately. I will tell you that. 1 second. I want to share a new, I want to do this. I come across so many different charts when I do my research, just macro, micro, all sorts of stuff. And I have them all in like a Google Doc or, yeah, I text them to myself and I review them myself, but I don't really talk about them too much on this channel. Sometimes I'll tweet it. I tweeted these midterm ones recently. I want to do a little bit of a new chart of the day, and then every day maybe we'll go through one or two. Maybe two if like I'm overloaded, but I think one a day is often a good way to start. So look at this one, the big five, or the 5 big U.S. dollar bear markets since 1967. So this is USD. When the USD pulls up, we got end of Bretton Woods, we got stagflation, Plaza Accord, 9/11, right? People losing faith in the U.S. dollar. Because people are gonna, U.S. is probably at war now, printing money, etc. American first. So let's do a little bit of a review. Where did I have it up? So this America First has people worried, obviously, because Trump wants to push down the dollar. He wants to devalue the dollar, which makes a lot of sense because the weaker the dollar, the better U.S. exports are. So it will automatically, the supply and demand curve on the U.S. exports will improve with a weaker dollar. So right now, people are expecting this to continue down. And there has been a strong trend line here that might be breaking. So let's actually go to the DXY, which we were just on a second ago, and now we're back. Let's go to the weekly, and you could see how zoomed out this chart is. Oops. So, this is 2007 over here. So let's go bring this here, and let's try to recreate this just slightly on our end. And here we go. Okay, so here's the big sell-off. Another big sell-off, and then here they're predicting that big sale. So here's the Plaza Accord, and joint agreement signed in September 22nd, 1985 at the Plaza Hotel in New York City between France, West Germany, Japan, and United States to depreciate the US dollar in relation to the French franc and German Deutschmark, the Japanese yen, and the British pound by intervening U.S. currencies. The U.S. dollar depreciated significantly from the time of the agreement. So they wanted to depreciate the dollar. For the first time in 2 years after the Plaza Accord, the U.S. trade deficit worsened. Rising prices of imports outweighed the decline in import quantity and rise in export quantity. I'm surprised these other nations would agree to something like that. However, the deficit eventually began to fall as imports had fallen and export has risen significantly for quantity effects. All right, well, let's go back to tickers and then let's read more about this. This lost decade, guys. This is a big topic. It's coming back, lost decade, and then we'll come back to this. Probably the best thing to do is actually go to Gemini. I haven't looked at the Plaza chord in forever. I feel like this is something I learned about in school. It's just like super gray in my mind right now. I would like to have a better understanding of it. Agree to something like dollar devaluation as it's typically not seen beneficial for other big export countries. All right, now let's go to really quick DXY. Let's draw that trend line I was talking about. So we've already broken up down from this ascending channel. And what I was talking about just now is there's another trend line roughly here. And I would probably argue something like this. And you can see here, support, support, support. We broke down a little bit. It would be nice to see volume on this. I don't see any volume. But I would assume the volume on the breakdown here was very little. And now we've properly broke this and had a retest, and maybe we're going to trend down a little bit. So we have huge support around 90. So we'll see what happens. But so far there is general consensus that we're trending down on this one. So that's exactly what we were seeing on this chart right here. So how much lower are we going to go? These were the last 5 big ones. So that's what I'm going to keep adding to our charts that I would like to talk about. Put it here. So that was the current chart of the day. I'll leave a link to these. Actually, I think there is already a link to these. But if you just go to tradejournal.co/Winkler, you can see my latest posts. Yeah. EVMN is still our top gainer, just a little bit too expensive for me. Float is the most interesting in ABP. The problem is just all these tickers don't really have news that gets me so excited. There is another ticker, PHIO, that it's kind of moving pretty nicely. PHIO news, pretty solid uptrend. 2 hours trial, positive 1B trial. No serious adverse events. Q2. See how long this one holds up. I'm not crazy about it, but at least there's a catalyst. What I learned when it comes to day trading, you never want to overanalyze the news. You just kind of want to go with the flow a little bit. You don't want to have too much of your own opinion. I mean, you gotta admit, it's up, 75%, pulling back a little bit. Little consolidation phase. Could be a play. Not the worst, just not the most exciting either. We got another 8 minutes before the market opens. Yeah. I was really hoping we'd get another big sell-off on coin or crypto, but we're still trending higher here. Pretty solid move off the lows. Oh, not on the right chart. Around 18%, super nice. I was expecting a bigger pullback here. So let's see if we see it. Maybe another, I don't know if we'll see it. Right now there's huge support in this area. Look at this crazy support zone. So let's see if we can hold this area. If we don't, I would probably buy anything, any little dip. We won't have any more news coming out today, macro news that should shake it. So I don't really expect that to affect it, but who knows? Sometimes if support just breaks, there'll be like a general fall off. Let's go back to ABP really quick. Also finding really nice support. ABP. So there's a 1.7 million float on ABP, and with PHIO, or yeah, PHIO has an 8 million float roughly. 9 million float, let's just say, while ABP up, I don't know, let's just say 65%. I don't see any news. Let me check another news network. Here we go. Trading after a 13G filing disclosed that Goldman Sachs 7% stake on ABP. That's not too bad of a catalyst. Let's go bounce. Yeah, it's having a little bit of bounce. This could be an interesting play. Pre-market at 2.6. There's definitely a little bit of a base here, 2.4. 15-minute, it's already crawling up there a little bit. I don't like tickers typically below VWAP, but it doesn't look too bad. Look at EVMN again. I mean, not bad at all. I mean, by far, this is probably our top gainer. It's just a little bit expensive. It does have that nice 17, 18 million float. If we round it, it's kind of high. Yeah, this is the phase 2 ESMA trial. 2A trial. ESMA is such a crazy way to spell it. Man. I'm just a simple man. I see a crazy word like that. 15 minutes, he's a lot of support around 26. Let's just do some basic support on this one. Wow, okay, so this is a pretty new listed company. Oh, there's the market open. Yeah. Gapping up much higher. Let's just open up that 4 hour, 1 hour, 15 minute. I like the support around 28. All these are below VWAP. Not necessarily a bad thing. They all have a catalyst, so that's good. I'm gonna actually open up our chart that we use for overviews. I think that'd be kind of nice. So let's type in PHIO. Let's type in ABP. Let's type in EVMN. Just get a little overview. 15-minute chart. Gappers. You know, I knew something felt a little bit poofed up. I couldn't put my finger on it, but we zoomed in on this, no wonder. Bit of a morning panic on all these different tickers. PHIO actually looks probably the most interesting. Let's check our other watch list on large caps. I don't really love the small caps at the moment. Let's, we don't want to sort by this. Swings. not a really busy day. Look at this. Across the board, our watch list is not moving too much. BMNR is the biggest loser, while LMND is the biggest winner. So not by one, basically a 4% spread, right? The biggest ticker's up like 2%, biggest one's down 2%, so up and down 2%. So really nothing too interesting. So I was playing around with our presets. Let's see if I figured it out. Our alerts, they were really annoying 2 streams back, and I made a lot of edits. So wow, look at that bounce on CCII. So that's really nice for us, as we are now long CCII. We didn't average down, unfortunately. I thought we were going to maybe trend a little bit further down on this one, and I was waiting to buy more. So we didn't buy more CCII, but we still have a pretty okay position. So our top gainers are all struggling here in this area. Not too interesting. SPY's going down. Let's go to FBTC, and let's put in the Russell. Let's go to indexes. Why is this one cash? Yeah, I mean, technically it's right. I don't recognize that name, though. It's a bit weird. So it looks like the general market is dumping a little bit. So yeah, it was good being a little conservative and not really jumping in on anything. Man, on what was that? Was that Thursday? Thursday was crazy. It was either Wednesday or Thursday. It was just like we did not have a second to breathe. We were just one trade after another. Today is very, very relaxing so far. Nothing's really moving too much. Sort by... All right, biggest loser on our large caps is now down almost 4%. Biggest winner, is not looking. Sort by percent change is around 2%. Okay, so I want to go to GXO because GXO is coming out with earnings. The logistic companies we've been following for quite some time. If you guys remember this one, we finally closed it somewhere in this area, basically right in the middle. We were looking for that one last push up higher, which we ended up getting. So I did close this one too soon. I just don't like the downside potential on this one. We were basically looking for maybe 2 or 3 more %, but we're expecting a 10% pullback at this point. So I'm happy to take my profits on GXO. I'm gonna leave it at that. Yeah, I do not see any tickers that are screaming Alex trade me right now. So again, pause off. We have PHIO, 55% pre-market gapper with a 9 million float. Phase 1B news. Yeah, it doesn't get me too excited. PHIO is a ticker we see all the time. I mean, they are industry leaders when it comes to pumping their stock. ABP, 65%, 1.7 million float. That 7% stake catalyst is kind of interesting. I can't deny that gets me kind of interested right down here, ABP. Usually you do not see something Goldman Sachs, with a long-term position in a ticker like this. So very, very interesting. It almost makes you want to check out their financials, which I almost never do on a small cap. Market cap, I mean, look, 7 million market cap with a very small amount of debt. So that's good. And they have, $340,000 in cash. I mean, this is crazy small company. They're losing so much. That can't be real that they're losing this much money. 6 employees? What is this, like an insider trade from Goldman Sachs? Something doesn't add up here. This is about as fishy as it gets. Autoimmune discovery. I mean, biotechs, right? Obviously, they're going to have some nasty cash flow. It's been around since 2004. The question is, how are they staying alive? If we go to statements and we go to income statement and we just really closely look at average basic shares. So, and oh yeah, let's go to annual. This is going to tell a lot right here. Average basic shares. It's going down. The share count is going down. Well, okay, now it's going slightly up again by quite a lot. It's very crazy. Something doesn't add up on ABP, but it could be an interesting trade. I mean, there's definitely enough interest in this ticker to prompt to want to trade this one. There's a lot of red flags, but yeah, it's not an investment, I would say. Found that beautiful support off of 2.4. And you guys like my alert? It's way chiller. It's way more chill. Gotta move this out of the way. Still the volume on ABP, actually it's pretty okay. It's about 1 million. Like I said, you have to times everything you see on TradingView volume by about 4. I don't know how to fix that issue yet. I've been looking into it, but I just have not found a solution. It's very, very weird. This volume down here. So the volume on ThinkorSwim, for example, and Webull. So ThinkorSwim is showing on this candle 1.5 million. So you times it by, yeah, that one's even more than 3, but you get the point. So we had a bit of a morning panic for like 7 minutes. PHIO really struggling. EVMN, this one's really struggling. So ABP is probably the only ticker worth trading on that we're seeing. Look at that, Baxter just beautifully moving up here, trending higher. Let's look at some other tickers we're in. CCII back up, 6% bounce, really nice. I'm gonna look actually for a pullback on this one. I would like to size in a little bit more on that. CRK coming down on this trend. I think we closed our CRK position. Why does it say buy there? Anyway, yeah, we did. That was a quick one. I'm looking for a little bit more support as we trend off on that one. DEO, really nice. We'll probably be selling the rest of our DEO position really soon. Etsy had a really nice comeback. Look at that 16% move. Might be another buy. FBTC. See if we get a low, how low this one will go. Anywhere in this area, I would probably consider doing another buy on this. NOV, MBO. Man, the crazy earnings sell-offs we saw across the board they're just blowing my mind. Some more support coming in. I think NVO could be a really nice range trade in this area. Volume on this one's so light. ABP moving. PayPal starting to find a little bit of support. Pizza, it still looks like it's in its general sell-off mode. QXO, this is the ticker we talked about last time where I missed my entry on. Really nice move off of that. X-Ray, beautiful support on here. Moving higher, 11%. Looking to take some profit off as we ideally break out again from this area. Move this a little bit higher. Confirm. I think we at least have another bump on that. So 7% pulled back. Maybe we'll see the same. You know, I gotta say Zillow is looking more and more interesting for a trade. I wouldn't mind like a proper flush below this and then buy that one for a bounce again. Nice move there on ABP. Volume still looking pretty good. I mean, it's overall increasing volume. It's probably the best looking ticker we have. The other two fully died off. Indexes still selling off. And you got to remember, large caps aren't really moving right now, so that's usually a good sign to want to trade something else. To want to trade smalls. When indexes are not moving, then smalls become interesting. SPY bouncing pretty hard. I don't like the fact that a lot of the biggest red volume, or the biggest candles in general, are on big volume red. It's kind of nasty. We do have really good support around like 158 or so. Could be an interesting entry, and then look for another retest to break over 28, 26. So 2.8 right here because it was a former close and open, and then 2.6 you just want to see it get back above that. So there's that aggressive move to 2.58. Let's just put in one order, very small size, show you guys what it's all about. Practice this new platform here that I'm not really convinced about, but just size in small. We got the SPY moving up. Russell's still struggling. Good to see the SPY though. We have PHIO. Look at that. Nice move on PHIO. Let's open this one up on the 1 minute. So found support around VWAP. Little 7% move there. Remember phase 1B news, 9 million float. ABP has that really low 2 million floats. That's what we're looking for. We like south of 10 million, ideally in the low single digits. So let's go back up on the 5 minute. And we also want to change the trade on this one. Settings. Let's go to trading. Move that one to the right. Again, very small size here. We're just playing around with this new account and also executing through TradingView, which we just started doing again to see if we can connect multiple accounts to it and kind of make our trading experience a little bit more unified. I'm not really sold on it yet, but I've been adjusting a lot of settings. So we'll see if maybe it convinces me over the next weeks. Holding support here, could size down, but typically I don't like to size down on my first trade. I typically close it, and then within, if we start seeing some nicer setups, re-enter. I always call my first trade is, you stick your toes in the water a little bit, get a feel for the market. Very, very small size on ABP. Ideal size would be around 7,000 shares, just to put it in perspective. Let's really quickly read about that Plaza Accord a little bit more. The Plaza Accord, 1985, remains one of the most significant moments in modern economic history. It was a rare instance where the world's major economies looked at the global market, saw a massive imbalance, and collectively agreed to manipulate the value of the world's reserve currency, which is USDC. And we're talking about this because we're looking at the USD, DXY, the Dixie, people often call it, last 5 big bear markets: Bretton Woods, stagflation, Plaza Accord, 9/11, America First right now. So what's going to happen next? And what was this 48% move, the Plaza Accord? Here's the breakdown of what had happened, why it mattered, and the logic behind why countries seemingly voted against their own interests. Whoops. Well, there's a little bit of a glitch there. Signed on September 22nd, blah, 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 between France, West Germany, Japan, UK, and the United States. The goal was to depreciate the US dollar against the Japanese yen and the German Deutsche Mark. The US was facing a massive trade deficit, and the dollar had become overvalued, making American exports too expensive and foreign imports too cheap. I'm watching ABP on the side. If we break the former low at 225, I'm going to be closing this one. Again, very small size, testing out this new platform. Central banks agree to sell dollars on the open market to drive the price down. Within 2 years, the dollar fell about 40-50% against the yen of the mark. It helped narrow the U.S. trade deficit with Europe, though it was less effective at fixing the deficit with Japan. Many economists link the Plaza Accord directly to the Japanese lost decade, as a sudden yen appreciation forced Japan to lower interest rates to help exporters. See, that's crazy. Why would they want to do that to themselves? ABP is losing a lot of steam, volume fading, which is technically a good thing for the fact that it's selling off. 225 is where I'll roughly stop out at. It seems counterintuitive, blah, blah, blah. Why would they voluntarily hurt their own edge? So the three reasons. By 1985, the U.S. Congress was furious about the trade deficit. American manufacturing was hauled out, and there was massive political pressure to pass heavy tariffs. Oh, look at that. Heavy tariffs. That's actually when Trump was really big with the tariffs. He was interviewed several times about it back in the day. Japan and Germany realized it was better to have more expensive currency than to be locked out of the American market. Okay, so that's why. Global stability, the Great Depression fear. Okay, so if America tanks, then the rest of the economy tanks. Hedging against inflation. In the early 80s, many European countries were battling inflation. A stronger local currency meant that importing oil and raw materials were priced in dollars became cheaper. Okay, so that's not bad. Yeah, okay, there we have it. The Plaza Accord. A little refresher. BAX and X-Ray doing God's work. So nice to see it. And another ticker we are looking at, as you guys already know, is Coin, if we get a little bit of a bigger sell-off. But nothing too interesting. It seems to be a very, very flat day so far. Obviously, these small caps are... PHIO is looking kind of interesting. Could be another trade on it. Huge support on EVMN coming up. So this could be a big, big, big move. I don't like the fact that on the 5-minute we are just trending down on EBP. So I might even close it before our stop arrives. We broke this significant area of support here. And at this point, we're only trending down. So I don't really like to see that. So to close a ticker like this, pretty straightforward. 2 point, let's just put it 3. Day beats sell. So you can see this is how you close it. Put the order in. So it didn't hit our stop. We don't have a stop. We just have a mental stop. Very, very small size. But I was looking for support in this area. We actually entered a little bit too soon. Where did we enter? Right around here. We had a nice sell-off, move higher, was looking for a bitter pullback here to some support trends and continuation. Our stop was around down here at 225, but when it broke this, I lost a lot of faith. I did give ourselves plenty of leeway to average down multiple times. I just don't like to average into losers. I like to build positions into winners. So that is why we weren't averaging down. And it shows a big win today, why you don't want to average down into losers. You want to leave that space for winners, right? If this ticker starts trending higher, you start building bigger base, and then you have bigger winners. But if you average down to losers, before you know it, if we bought here again, and then we get stopped out at 225, all of a sudden a small loss turns into a bigger loss where you're just like, ugh, So you're typically your first few trades on the day, depending on how you trade. But if you're trading like aggressively small caps and you're doing like 10, 20 trades on a day, like I do, my first trade or second trade are usually very quick, and I don't do any sort of averaging. It's once I'm like really in the flow that I start sizing into trades. So we stopped out of this one at 34. Actually, a pretty phenomenal exit. We got really lucky with that exit. But overall, a red trade, so not exactly super exciting. But yeah, PHIO struggling a little bit here as well. But nice 12% pop off the lows. You gotta give it to it. So 15-minute chart, big time support here. 5-minute chart, not as clear as support. While if we go to ABP, so 5-minute, you know, we could have been maybe more aggressive at the open on this one, especially around the 15-minute. Huge support in this area, popped up 15%. So, you know, there was probably a trade here for us. And I need to fix something on my trade station because now we're there in Florida. I have a new setup and it keeps disconnecting one of my monitors for some reason, so I got to get to the bottom of that issue. All right, 10:05, guys. I got to go ahead and call it. My day is gonna be getting busy here. I'll be streaming again tomorrow, and hopefully most days of the week. So just stay tuned. Every time you see a coming soon stream, you know, and then I'll be leaving updates in the Discord as well as we go on. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. I'll see you then first thing tomorrow morning for the open and some trading. Don't forget, this is non-financial advice, not personalized or general. We're just trading here and sharing what we think about certain tickers. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. I will see you then tomorrow. Ciao for now.